we're going to get started on variables. You've done algebra, you know variables, x and y are variables, but let's just get started on variables in a programming context. In this case, we're going to do variables in Swift. One of the great things about computers is not only can they loop things really quickly, they can decide things really quickly, they can also store lots of information. So in this case, you have a contact list, right? A contact list can store all the phone numbers of your friends, and none of us actually remember our friends' phone numbers anymore, right? We just put them into our phone and trust that they're there. And the way these are represented in your computer memory or your phone memory are using variables. So let's say you have a contact called Mia. Mia is apparently 19 and has a profile picture with an M on it, right? So if you wanted to create a variable to store information about Mia, you would say var name equals to Mia and var age equals 19, okay? Look how you have an equal sign on the screen, right? This equal sign right here means you're taking the thing on the right, Mia, and saving it onto the variable on the left. Once again, this equal sign is called an assignment operator. You're taking the thing on the right and saving it into the variable on the left. There's also this thing called var. Var right here is for you to create a new variable. It's called a variable declaration. Think of it as the first time you want to do something, you're going to tell everyone, and after that, you can just keep on doing it. One example might be if you're in a classroom and you say, oh, I want to be the person who wipes the whiteboard today. So you say that once at the beginning of class, and then the rest of the day, right, when the teacher leaves the classroom, you just get up and erase the whiteboard, right? So that's something a bit like declaring a variable. The first time you do it, you're going to need to say something out loud, and you do that by saying var. Afterwards, when you use your variable, you don't actually need to say var anymore, okay? You might also notice that name stores a piece of text. And to store text, we call it a string in Swift. You use quote marks or double inverted comma, right? That's what we call them in Singapore, double inverted comma, okay? Whereas if you want to store a number, you just put a number, right? Don't put the number in double inverted commas, okay? So afterwards, if you want to change a variable, you can, right? So let's say Chris has increased in age, which is something that not unexpected, people's ages increase. What you can do is you can just set it to something else, like on this line over here. It says age equals 19. The next line is kind of weird. It says age equals age plus 1. If you show this to your maths teacher, they might get really annoyed with you because that is something that's mathematically incorrect. Age cannot be equals to age plus 1 because then 0 equals to 1, the universe explodes. That doesn't work. So in this case, what it means is you have to keep in mind that the equal sign is an assignment operator. It's taking the thing on the right, age plus 1, and storing it into the thing on the left. The thing on the right actually means 19 plus 1. You evaluate it to 19 plus 1, it becomes 20, and then you store it into the thing on the left. Age becomes 20. Let's try that again on the next line. Age equals to age times 2. Before this, age was 20, so the right-hand side is 20 times 2. 20 times 2 is 40. 40 gets stored into age, so age is now 40. Chris has aged a lot while we were talking. Poor Chris. That's okay. Another thing you might notice is the asterisk over here means multiplication, right? Plus and minus, you know, that is the plus sign on your keyboard and the minus sign on your keyboard. But multiplication is the asterisk and division is the forward slash over here. The forward slash where the top tilts forward, okay? One more thing. After you create a variable in Swift, the type of information it stores never changes. And this is actually something to do with how computers work. It's easy to store things like integers, but to store things like strings, you need to put in a lot more effort. It takes up a lot more memory. Remember that computers store things as zeros and ones. So integers are pretty easy to store. If you've ever learned or heard of something called base 2, you can express any number as zeros and ones using base 2. If you want to store a string as base 2, well, first you need to translate every single character into a numerical representation, and then you need to store them in order. It's a lot of work. So what Swift does is it has different sized buckets to store this information. So an int can only store int-sized things, and a string can only store string-sized things. So in this case, if you say var age equals to 18, you're making an int, and you can't later stuff an entire string inside it, right? It's just not going to work. Swift is going to give you an error. All right, so just keep this in mind as you are going through this. All right, let's get started with the exercises in this chapter. Okay, so for this one, it's actually pretty simple. Your character over here, and I have Blue, he's still super happy and bouncy, much better than Bite. What I'm going to get him to do is I'm going to get him to move forward and collect the gem, and as he picks up the gem, I want him to keep track of how many gems he's created. Why do we want to do that? Taxes. We're going to tax him for his gem collection. Okay, so what it says here is you're going to create a variable, right? Declare a variable, use var and give your variable a name, right? So this part, they've already done it for you. It says var gem counter equals to value, and you know that value is a placeholder. At the beginning, how many gems do you have? None. There's nothing you can tax. So you can just put a 0 over here. All right. After you declare a new variable, you can assign it a new value at any time. You can do that by saying gem counter equals 1 whenever he picks up a new gem, at which point you're like, hee, taxes. Okay, what we want you to do here is we want you to move Blue forward, pick up the gem, and change gem counter to 1. All right, that's the first puzzle over here. Gem counter is a variable that's been created for you. In the future, if you want to make your own variables, there are some naming rules to keep in mind. A bit like functions, you're going to start them with lowercase characters, and every time there's a new word, you're going to switch to uppercase. This thing is called camel case. You cannot name variables starting with numbers. You cannot have spaces in variable names, and you should start your variables with lowercase. You can name your variables emojis, but don't do that. That's just ridiculous. Okay, let's take a look at the next puzzle in this series. Okay, so for this puzzle over here, you have your character. I still like Blue very much. You have your character in this world where there's an unknown number of gems that will pop up along the way, and your character has to pick up all the gems and keep track of how many gems he's picked up, right? Because taxes. So what you want to do is you want to move forward and check if there's a gem. If there is, not only do you pick it up, you should also increment your count of the number of gems that you have. And in this case, you have a variable called gem counter. So in the previous puzzle, you just set gem counter equals to 1. In this case, you need to say gem counter equals gem counter plus 1, just like in this little example over here. My number equals my number plus 1. That increases it by 1, and if it was 3, it'll become 4. And by the end of your entire puzzle, you should have counted the total number of gems, and it will be stored inside this variable called gem counter. That's pretty cool. One thing to note is you can solve this puzzle by just asking Blue to move forward, check, and collect gem and increment counter. And just after the right number of times, you can get Blue to turn right and do the same thing, and turn right and do the same thing. The layout of the world is not going to change, but you might be better served by figuring out how to use a for loop to get this thing done, right? So that's the second puzzle. There's only 2 puzzles in this section. Do give them a try, and if you need help, come back to the next video where I will go through the solutions. See you, bye!